I would like to thank you all for 150 subscribers. With that said, let's move on to a few announcements before we get to the main event. The 8 Plan B redubbed cast has slightly expanded, but I still need more actors. So if you're interested, be sure to let me know. And if you know anyone who might be, inform me as soon as possible. So I can actually start getting everything ready. When we get into a future announcement, you'll know why. These 3 characters, though, they will not get actors simply because they don't need them. Link is a silent character, Teriko is a robot that does not speak, and Calamity Ganon is an eldritch horror with little to no personality, who doesn't even talk in the actual games, so yeah. World of Light remake cast has slightly changed due to either me finding out the actors are willing to play other characters, or situations where I had to change the casting. And also Raptor Otaku has volunteered to play Shulk, Vox, and Pit. With that said, now let's move on to these 5 characters who will be present but will not require actors due to the fact they won't be around for too long, or they do not talk, or a combination of both. With that said, there are also characters who will not show up at all, because, as well, we don't want to overstuff the cast. And so, yeah, if you're a fan of any of these characters, I'm sorry, but they will not be in my final version of the project. Also, I will get in shots, so that's what I told you about the whole getting ready thing, because I will need in shots to make my future projects, as well as upgrading my video quality. With that said, and I think it's time to kick things up a notch and get to the main event. Mephiles the Dark. Initially a character somewhat despised by fans due to the fact that he comes from Sonic 06. But ever since Generations, Mephiles has been hit with a more positive feedback. And in fact, I know several people who think he's the best Sonic villain we've had since ever. I just so happen to be one of them. Now, initially SEGA has implied that they are not going to use him again, and the fact that he served his purpose, but recent tweets have implied that SEGA might have changed their minds, but that's not what we're here to discuss. We're not here to talk about Mephiles' future, but rather his past. This is why Mephiles the Dark is an awesome villain who deserves more credit. Both of Mephiles' designs are incredible. For starters, let's go to his base form. Mephiles is a dark reflection of Shadow, altered to look more terrifying. And it also fits due to the fact that Mephiles is a reflection of Shadow. No, literally, look at this. Both Mephiles and Shadow have a similar body type, but Mephiles looks different due to the fact that he is shaded differently, and due to the fact that he's statured differently as well, as if the lack of a mouth and the lizard-like eyes don't give it away. But we'll get to one, and that's the least of their differences later. But that's his base form. Then there's his crystal form, where he grows those crystals all over his body. He becomes much more intimidating due to the fact that the whites of his eyes turn red. And overall, he just looks a lot more demonic in this picture. Rest image of pure darkness. Seriously, Mephiles looks terrifying in a good way. Some people don't really like the visuals of 06, but easily Mephiles is got on the long end of the stick due to the fact that he looks so incredible. Overall, Mephiles is the best looking character in the game, and most people would agree with me on that. He's also the one half of Solaris, so while I would count designs for Solaris, I feel like that would drag this video out too long. The fact that Solaris is a can of worms all on its own. Now let's get to reason 2. Dan Green's performance. Now, I don't want SEGA to give an excuse to go after me, but let's just say that Dan Green was the perfect actor for this character, at least at the time. Other actors might be able to do something similar, but Dan Green just has the voice that's pretty much perfect for the character. And he manages to portray sly, manipulative, and intimidating all at once. He's scary when he needs to be, persuasive when he needs to be. He's overall just a terrifying villain in just about every way, especially due to the performance. It's by Dan Green. That's it. And let's move on to reason 3. His boss fights are good in concept and his execution, as well as the boss themes being great. Now, 06, his controls are really the only problem. Aside from that, Mephiles' concepts behind the fight each of his fights are great. They fit within with his character. To be manipulative, sociopath with little to no redeeming qualities. We'll get to that in a bit. And overall, the boss fights themselves are actually one of the better ones in 06, and the boss themes are no exception. Heck, one of them is playing in the background right now. By the way, all music in this video belongs to SEGA, as does the character of Mephiles and any other characters that SEGA used. He just don't happen to reference in this video. I don't own any of this. Anyways, let's move on to reason 4. Not only is he a dark reflection of Shadow, but he is also a reflection of Silver. We'll get to why when we talk about his relation to Silver. Mephiles is the Yang, while Silver and Shadow are the Yang. Shadow represents himself, but he rejects the darkness to forge his own path. This is perfectly exemplified in 06, when he turns down Mephiles' offer for revenge. And while Mephiles, he does not want revenge at all. He only craves pure destruction, called out by Shadow himself. Mephiles doesn't even bother trying to deny this because he knows it's true. Mephiles obviously has the most personal beef with Shadow due to the fact that Shadow was the one who sealed him away in the Scepter of Darkness. Yes, but he still goes out of his way to torment others. Shadow just happens to be the primary victim of this. Due to the fact that Shadow was the one who locked him away. But Mephiles is not the only one he torments in this story. He also torments Silver, but in another way. Silver in this way is the antithesis of Mephiles in terms of personality. Silver doesn't really have a bad bone in his body. Everything Silver does is for the good of everyone around him, which does make him easy to manipulate because of it. While Mephiles, on the other hand, he is the exact opposite of Silver. He has no good bones in his body, and And everything he does is simply for his own sadistic amusement. Siri, this guy's just messed up. Not only does he take advantage of Silver, by telling him that he had to kill Sonic due to the fact that Sonic was the Iblis trigger when really he wasn't. At least was the Iblis trigger. Although Sonic was involved, but still. Mephiles sent Silver to kill someone whom Mephiles didn't even care about. He didn't even hate Sonic. He could have just went out of his way to do other things and get what he wanted, which we'll get to later, but no. He torments Silver with the hope of giving him a better future, only to crush that hope later, just because he could. Silver, on the other hand, all he wants is for the good of the rest of the world. He doesn't want to do. He never wanted to hurt Sonic, but because Mephiles was pulling the strings, he felt like he had to. Overall, Mephiles' manipulation of Silver really showed was another side of his character. Overall, both Shadow and Silver are the exact opposites of Mephiles. Now, I would compare Mephiles and Sonic, but due to the fact that they never interact until a reason we'll get to later, is because Sonic's more focused with Eggman. Besides, Sonic's story is one of the lowest parts of 06, in my opinion. Along with the kiss scene between his corpse and Elise. But that's not what we're here to talk about. Let's just move on. Now, I think you know what this one is. He actually killed Sonic. Something no other villain in the series has actually been able to do. Don't believe me? Well, here's proof. I would like to thank Zacho's Red for the thumbnail of this video. If you have any suggestions, let me know. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more. If you wish to be a part of my future projects, just let me know. And finally, I have one last thing I want to let you know all about. That is an audio drama based on the Sonic series. The cast currently is Tamto Gaming as Sonic, Lucariabot as Knuckles, Fangirl as Amy, Cream, Rouge, Sage, and The End, me as Dr. Eggman, The End, Eggman Nega, and Mephiles the Dark. Also, the reason why Fangirl and I are playing at the end at the same time is simply because I wanted to make the end more supernatural because well, having two voices overlap rather than just one simple voice would be more scary. Anyways, I'll also Smash Ultra 1 will be playing Tails and Silver, Nile is Infinite, Jurassic Verse 64 is Omega, Shadow Dante, well, actually he goes by a different name now, but you get the idea, is going to be Shadow and Black Doom, and Dog Zine Dog 6 is Metal Sonic. I'm not quite done with the casting, but I'd say this is the most developed cast so far. Anyways, this is going to be a loose adaptation of the original series, which will deviate from the original story after the events of Shadow the Hedgehog. There's also some inspiration from the old Sonic cartoons and comics, with locations and a reference to Sad I Am, with how I'll handle Eggman Nega's real name. Oh, and I just remembered the point I wanted to make with Mephiles killing Sonic was all The fact that he could have easily, he just decided not to go out of his way to do everything that he did. But no, he chose to. Just because he could. Anyways, before I forget anything else, I'm going to wrap up this video here. So, see y'all in the next video.